Well, what episode are we on? This is our 100th official full length episode.
Ooh,
Oh,
I forgot.
where's my kazoo?
Should I grab a train whistle real quick? Got one of those in a cabinet right here. All right, so this will be episode 93, which means it's Mayo's intro. Is he even actually here, or did he just log in and never say anything?
I haven't heard words yet.
Who is Mayo?
All right, he's here. You know, sometimes I listen back to the podcast and I notice that I just call you any of your very many names, and it's got to be confusing for listeners.
There's actually like 5 of me, and we just take turns, depending on our nickname, talking.
How you bring out his other personalities.
I think I'm going to call you Tony Giglione this time.
No, Mayo, I wanted to talk to Mayonnaise. And then I want to talk to Antane real quick.
Right. T. Gigs.
Yeah, I never really could tell, like Outcast Big Boy, like how many of those nicknames were like his nicknames and how many of them were just Andre 3000 being weird in the moment and calling him like Billy Ocean and stuff. Like, is that his nickname, or is he just saying stuff?
Wow.
Welcome to the A for No, B for Yes podcast, the Zelda-themed podcast, where we go chapter by chapter through the Legend of Zelda chapters. We are currently deep diving the Wind Waker. Last episode, we ascended the Tower of Gods, and a little glowy gold circle has lit up on the ocean, and we are descending on through the water. My name is Anthony, and I am here to announce that this is our first of 100th episode, full-length, official. It's off the dome.
Oh,
That
gosh.
didn't work out. The whistle was...
Broken whistle.
All right. It worked eventually. Eventually it worked. I had performance anxiety.
All right.
First episode.
And I'm also here to announce my co-hosts. They're here laughing.
I am Ryan Fonzie, and I am an adorable little cyclone.
I'm Cameron, and I'm a pair of nail clippers that you're never allowed to use.
I'm Ouija, and I am the very concept of Z targeting.
Oh.
You've been a big help, my guy.
Very useful.
Yeah,
So happy to have you here.
revolutionary.
You're helping me
Thank
right
you,
now, actually.
I mean, I know
And not just one game, but many games.
my reach is vast.
Even though the button's not always Z. We know it's
You may know me by another name, but I'm always there.
Guiding our actions.
He
Guiding our aim.
is some of the yeast that's permeated all of the gaming industry.
Helping you in Dark Souls.
It's just a good mechanic. It's a good thing it's not copyrighted.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if, like... I don't actually know if Nintendo was the first with Ocarina. But, like, let's just say for all intents and purposes, they were, and they copyrighted it. Could you imagine?
Don't
game.
give them ideas.
Yeah, that'd be-
Please don't give them ideas.
All right, so edge topics aside, talk about some Wind Waker, and we are going into this wonderful deep ocean. This is like y'all ever seen the movie Waterworld with Kevin Costner?
No.
No, but I love Kevin Costner, so now I kind of want to watch it.
See
Good movie.
Waterworld. Yeah.
Nor did I
you've-
rent the NES game or Super Nintendo game.
There was a Super Nintendo
Oh.
game called Waterworld.
There was a licensed video game property based on the movie Waterworld.
Nice. It's very much like a Thunderdome situation.
Yeah.
It's that era of Costner, and it's wonderful. It's definitely kind of a cheesy, campy thing to watch now, but I remember enjoying it in my younger days. But one of the big plot twists of that movie is that they all exist in a flooded world, and they're like, we need to find the old country that we are missing for so long. And somewhere in the middle of the movie, you find out that your boy Costner not only can like breathe underwater in a way that other people can't, but that he knows a secret, and that's that the world didn't go missing. It's underneath the ocean.
Mhm.
And so this is our Waterworld moment where we find out that Hyrule isn't missing. It's just underneath the Great Sea.
It's still down there.
Yeah. So we land down in front of what appears very much to be a Hyrule castle that has been submerged deep beneath the sea.
And right in the courtyard.
And we can breathe underwater now.
Yeah, at least on the way down. For some reason.
He has trouble with that. 10-year-old thinks he's gonna die.
Right.
He does.
He's like, I need to keep holding my breath, but I just can't. And then he like breathes and he's like, wait, this is fine. And I mean, I remember the first time seeing all this happen and being like just kind of awestruck. But
Mhm.
that was like high school, middle school maybe. So it was a long time ago. Yeah. This now it's like, yeah, I know about this. That's expected. Whatever. It's already, like, but yeah, I just remember this being such a big moment as a Zelda kid.
I think I had a diary entry about this moment. Back, like the very short amount of time that I kept a diary. Like,
Did you bring it with you to the pod?
I don't know where it is.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I was just like, and yeah, freaked out about it. There's another one later in the game too that a moment that happens later that I also freaked out about. But yeah,
yeah. It's pretty cool. I mean, you were instructed to kind of go inside. He's like, I can't really explain what this is yet. Our coral, he's like, there's really no time to explain. You just need to get in there. I can try to help you out once you're inside or whatever. So we run in and we get kind of a pan of this area, and it's just covered in frozen enemies. Along with a few cool details around the room, like a portrait of a royal family and of a king, and a statue of what appears to be the hero of time in toony graphics, but not quite as toon as our current Link. In a way that calls back to Ocarina of Time a little more distinctly. And this, again, was kind of like a moment of what am I stepping into? Why is everything frozen in time? I remember taking like a selfie of Link with his head inside of a Moblin's like gaping mouth because it just seemed like such a good photo op.
Yeah, the color is frozen too.
Yeah, they're all in black and white, right?
Yeah,
like all the enemies are anyway.
It's like that villain from Powerpuff Girls stole all their color.
Ooh.
Reference.
I remember getting here when I was a kid and just, like you said, being awestruck. And then they let you go outside, albeit it's such a short little distance. You get to go out on the drawbridge that I presume leads out to Hyrule Field, or at least what that is over there. And let me tell you, when like, I don't know, like 14-year-old me, like got out on that bridge, I was like, oh, no, they didn't. They included a whole new land. And I was so
Right.
pumped to just like walk across that bridge. I remember how excited I
Yeah.
was, thinking
Yeah.
like, I'm going to be in Hyrule now. I'm sick of the ocean. And then only for them to force field me up. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
And now years later, I'm thinking back like, yeah, like that force field is 100% we were planning on doing this and then we kind of said, nah.
Yeah. So another
Little-
really
little
obscure
bit.
reference for you guys. In 2022, there was this little game called Elden Ring that came out.
Never heard of it.
And there was this big moment in almost everyone's playthrough where you kind of go into an elevator to the underground for the first
Oh
time.
man, so good.
Mm,
And like there's like a whole new sky and a whole new land. And yeah, when you step out on this bridge, it's kind of like they almost had that moment
mhm.
in this game. Just for them to be like, actually, no, it's just a visual. Like we just
Yeah.
want the concept,
You can
but we
look,
couldn't actually do
you
a
can't
whole
touch.
second land for you.
There's like a road out here. We had to get this game out real fast.
They waited until Tears of the Kingdom to bring the underground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also a really good like when you figure that out moment. Multiple when you figure that out moments with the depths, but yeah, there's very very cool in that way.
Yeah. Cool.
Going back to what you were saying earlier, Fonz, was something that I noticed because I believe there's one with Tetra's mother hanging in the um, or maybe there wasn't one in her room.
There's a picture of Tetra's mother in Tetra's cabin.
Okay,
On
see,
the
I thought
pirate
that
ship.
the royal family was in Tetra's cabin too, but so you can see the royal family. It's on like I think the right balcony of Hyrule Castle in here, and when I tell you I did not notice this the first time I played. I mean, I was young and I don't even think I noticed this the second time, but I noticed this playthrough.
Yeah.
That is straight a 1-for-1 of Pirates Tetra Crew. And it's sort of like a uh we'll get into is a foreshadowing and maybe you can cut that little snippet out, but it's a foreshadowing. And I mean so like it just
There's a
talk
lot
about
of
this
foreshadowing in this, and this is the episode for it. So if you want to just mention that it
Yeah.
is foreshadowing, like we're not gonna cut that.
But like the way they did my guys. I mean, so like Nico is probably the coolest if I had to say. I mean, he's got this like
Yeah.
awesome like tribal get up going on there. I mean, he's really rocking it. What's his name? Is it Mako? He's looking pretty nice. He's like a respectable professor of science at University of Yale kind of look going on. And then they have Gonzo in the middle with a studious mustache. I mean, it is a really nice mustache.
Ayo.
That mustache covers some ground.
And he's just looking so fine. Like, how did he go, his descendant Gonzo? Whoever this guy's name is, I don't know. He's very studious looking. So is I don't remember the guy with the green hair, what his name was. He's
I
also
don't
looking
either.
very studious. And then they got Zuko, who's kind of just looks a little bit like a pirate, looking like a full royal guard of Hyrule. Like this
Yeah.
short little guy being a royal guard. It's just kind of funny.
So what was the one with glasses? What was his name again?
It was Mako, right?
Mako.
Or
Okay.
Maka or Mako.
The smart guy.
Mako?
Mocha.
Yeah. They reused that design in the Minish Cap for Minister
That's-
Pothos.
That's what I was wondering, because it's very similar, and I'm wondering, like, where have I seen that design before?
Yeah. It's for sure they used that specifically for the Minish Cap. None of these other costumes made it, except for maybe the princesses. Because she's in the portrait too, right?
Yeah.
it is a wild like Easter egg because we never learn about the actual people in the portrait, but it is very much that 1-to-1 like you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few Easter eggs in here. That one I'm pretty sure they flash it on the screen at some point.
Yeah. I think when they're doing like the panoramic of the room, like it shows that on the screen.
When a certain thing happens.
Yeah. So was there anything else you wanted to share about that, or just kind of wanted to point it out?
No, it just struck me.
Yeah.
Like right away. I was like, that is I know Gonzo anywhere, and I see that tooth coming out of Nico. Like I was like, this is 100% them. It's kind of funny. It's like
that rat.
They were reinforcing the what's the word? They were reinforcing the, I don't want to say reincarnation, but that's kind of the first word that
lineage
or the reiteration.
Okay.
Before it was like a thing in the series, because that didn't really become a thing until Skyward Sword. Because before it was like pretty much linear, but now they're like reinforcing that, like, well, it could have been a while. Like these are the Guardians
cycles
beforehand. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So some cool things you can see on the walls, because opposite that portrait is a portrait of the king, which I think I mentioned before. And so the other random thing about this is that there's these 3 triangle blocks in the middle of the hall.
Mm-hmm.
And I think 2 of them are even positioned like a diamond just to further obscure what's happening. But as someone who played this in school, I gotta say that the king gives us, via the walkie-talkie stone, one of the worst clues I think I've ever gotten in a Zelda game. Because he basically says, oh yeah, like the power that you're seeking is held behind a mighty threshold, and there's a clue in the heraldry near where we arrived. And me scratching my head, even now I'm like, what does he mean by heraldry? Like, is he talking about like a family crest somewhere? Is he talking about something on a banner that I'm supposed to be looking for? Like, like what is happening? And does he mean like inside the room or outside where we came in? Like, I actually left the castle just to try to figure out what he was talking about.
I almost did, because like he almost psyched me out, because I know what to do. Of course, I've played this game many times, but I started thinking about what he said and like almost ran outside to be like, "What are you talking about?" And just don't let Coral get in your head. You know what to do.
Right. And I can't imagine that him saying that was ever helpful to anybody.
The heraldry.
The heraldry. Yeah, just look to the heraldry and you'll find
I'll tell you like my interpretation, or not even my interpretation. I'll just tell you what happened. So he said that, and I was like, heraldry. I guess I'll look around and see if I can find any heraldry around the room or anything like that in a tapestry. I then found the blocks on the ground, and I'm like, my ADHD's like, let's do this now. And I did that, and then that was the thing. And I'm like,
yeah,
but
that was the heraldry.
Like, wait, what? You mean triangles are herald? This isn't the Triforce, my guy. It's just 3 triangles that are separate. Like,
all right. So
where's clue?
The definition of heraldry: the system by which coats of arms and other armorial bearings are devised, described, and regulated.
Mm-hmm.
Or also armorial bearings or other heraldic symbols. So yeah, I mean, the Triforce is part of the heraldry, but like also birds are part of the heraldry, and like lions carrying swords for some reason might be considered part of the heraldry because they're statues of those. Like, there's just so much going on in this room.
This game is eventually going to give us another hint for a puzzle way later, where they use the word hilt. And if you don't know what that means, if you're like 17, like I was, and have no idea what a hilt is, yeah, sorry about you. So heraldry, hilt, they're using like these terms for like these feudalistic things that I just had no clue for.
To find what you're seeking for behind the chef robe.
Great.
Now, if you'll go down to the meat hall,
there's a flummadiddle somewhere.
Obscure. Look to the obscure furniture, my boy. It's like,
Inspect
what
the
are you
doilies.
doing? Inspect the doilies.
No, not the dining hall, the dining room.
All right. And so, yeah, we figure out the Triforce puzzle because it's like the one thing we can actually interact with in this place.
Weird block
And-
puzzle.
Weird block puzzle where you have to like swing walk a bunch of triangles to make a Triforce in their designated spots.
I actually liked it. Because you had to pick from a side and swing that
Mhm.
side. I think that was actually pretty ingenious of them.
I definitely locked myself inside the Triforce when I finished the puzzle, and then it sunk into the ground and I was free again, so that was good.
I feel like I've done that before. Yeah, I don't think it's weird. Like, this is like weird and dumb. It's just they've never made us push triangles around before or since.
Yeah, true that. And so the entire Link statue, which I suppose is the mighty threshold, slides away from the actual threshold, which is just a staircase.
Oh,
And it takes us into the basement. It's a very ornate basement.
probably called the threshold of time or something.
Yeah. Instead of a door of time, we got a hero of time statue of time.
Mm.
And
Statue of time. Yeah.
so we go down. If you go around this room's full of callbacks and references. There is a sword in a pedestal, and all around it are carvings on the ground of the peasants that were praying to the gods in like the opening kind of retelling of the story in the game. So
Yeah.
like I thought that's the first time I noticed them. I was like, huh, there's just like a whole bunch of people carved into the stone praying to this sword. And I was like, what moment in history, like who stayed back to carve this when all this was going down?
Someone very dedicated.
Did they have to carve it before or after?
Yeah, I don't know. Like they had to make the decision to put the sword there, right? I mean, just the way that's memorialized just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But it was definitely
Yeah.
cool to see it.
The way the time thing goes down is confusing to me. But yeah, it's like when was this happening? Why did this all happen
Right.
like this?
Yeah, and the other clue in this room is if you walk around the moat, because there's like it's not really a moat, it's just like there's like a ring kind of built around, like the sword is in a pedestal on a big plateau platform, right?
Mhm.
So around the outside of it, there are these stained glass windows that depict the 6 sages, but instead of like having Zelda anywhere on it as the 7th, they have a stained glass window of Ganondorf or Ganon, like the dark beast Ganon for some reason.
Pig.
Yeah, straight up pig Ganon. Which is very confusing. Cause like, why are we putting him on a stained glass window like he was part of the good team that you put on all the other windows? And then in between those two things, in between the carvings and the stained glass, there are specifically 5 of these huge knight statues. I don't know why
What about
5.
6?
I scratched my head about the 5. There's no 6th one.
Oh,
I don't know why.
huh. I thought there were 6.
I specifically had that question of like, are there 6 of these for the sages? And it was like, no, there's 5. The only explanation I could come to, and I had to like really go into like pattern searching mode, is that there were 5 Legend of Zelda console titles that came out before the Wind Waker.
Mhm. Okay.
So you have to like ignore handhelds for this to work. But there's The Legend of Zelda, Zelda 2 Adventure of Link, A Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask. So you have to say like, well, Link's Awakening, that was a Game Boy game, forget about it. Like that's the kind of thing. Like, so I don't know if that's anything, but that's the only reason I could. I'm like, 5 isn't a number we ever care about normally. It's usually, yeah.
It's because they knew that in the next game, Ganondorf would stab one of the 6 sages to death, and they knew they were
Wow.
going to do that, and so yeah, that's why.
Right.
Brilliant.
For
Foreshadowing.
sure.
That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. It's in a different timeline too. It's insane. They knew back then.
Cross-dimensional foreshadowing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have no other explanation than that. I don't know if that's anything, but that's, to me, it felt like it couldn't have been anything else. But if somebody has a theory, let us know. Put it in the comments. Yeah.
Just do what Brian David Gilbert does.
I was gonna say, it just reminds me of that. Wow, what were they called in Breath of the Wild again? It was like the 7 or the 6, like the statues in the desert.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What were those
Oh
called?
yeah.
The 8th.
The 7 heroines or whatever, and you had to find the 8th
Yes.
heroine. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
it reminds me of that, where there's supposed to be like a certain amount, and then there was like this whole story tied to them, and then they're just like, we're like, nope. It's kind of like here. It's like they built this whole thing. There was probably some reason why they put 5, and then they're just like, yeah, we're not explaining anything else.
Yeah, because even when it shows that, like, when you take up the Master Sword, which actually doesn't have that much like lore surrounding it, other than the king kind of egging you on to do it.
I could get in there, but I got a thing that'll help us.
Like the 5 knights, their swords all move towards the center as if they're doing like a unity clash, right? And you can see there's a sword missing. Like you can see it go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then there's just a gap where it's like not quite radially symmetric. And it feels like the implication is that's where like you would be joining in the 5, right? Like you would be putting the Master Sword up like yeah, let's do this. I'm one of you, I guess. I don't know. But that's just weird symbolism. I don't know if it's true. That's what it felt like to me in the moment. We get this, and suddenly the outside world is no longer frozen in time.
Hooray!
We get our in color.
This is where I got excited as a kid because I always loved combat the most in games. So I saw all those enemies and I was like, I don't get to fight them. And then when I saw them all start moving, I was like, oh, I get to fight them.
I think as a kid in this moment, I think because I just got the Master Sword, I was excited to fight him. I remember coming in here originally and being like, this is a lot. Like, I don't know about this one, guys. It's like these Dark Nuts gave me a hard time earlier, like just one of them. And you have like 5 or 6 in here. Like, what am I supposed to do about that? And then you get the Master Sword and the color comes up and you come out and you realize that you're kind of broken now. Like, you can just kind of destroy this whole room.
Yeah.
And I remember that was a good feeling.
Yeah, it's like in Zelda 2 when you get the down stab. It's like the game is like, now we begin.
Oh,
This is like
2.
We're turning you loose.
Original Dark Souls.
That game is
targeting.
This so not fun to play until you get the down stab, and then like, oh, I could just do this for a while. That's fine.
Yeah. And so we clean house because we can't leave until we do. They put up electric barriers for us at the bridge and the way out, and we kind of just have to mop the floor with all these moblins and dark nuts until we're clear.
It's the best.
You know what I learned about moblins the other day?
What did you learn?
Is that I don't remember who. I wish I could credit who I learned this from. But in a developer, or no, I'm sorry, it was Hyrule Historia. Okay, so I was reading Hyrule Historia, which I have on my Wii U.
Okay.
So I guess credit goes out to Nintendo.
Dark Horse, yeah. That was cool.
I read that apparently the Moblin was what every enemy in Wind Waker was based off of, the look. Like they were trying to find design themes, and apparently the Moblin was the design theme that they set for the rest of the game. As like, that's the enemy that is like the center, and then we want to design everything else around it.
Yeah.
It was like the first enemy they designed, so it makes sense that like they got the green light and they're like, all right, well there's our starting point.
I came out of this castle with 9 of my 10 crests.
Oh, I forgot to check.
For Orca. I was a little bit bummed by that because I'm like, well, that means I'm not going to get the last one until we're like deep into this game and we're kind of let loose. But also, I only have to find 1 more, which is nice. But I was kind of hoping I'd be able to come out and just like go straight over to Orca.
I can't remember if it's possible to get 10 by this point.
There's probably a cave we can get into somewhere that has the 10th one. But
that for sure. But
I wasn't about to go looking for it just yet.
I think between the tower and then this room, you can't get 10 still.
Do the Tower of God ones not respawn? Because they're like kind of like a set piece.
No.
Nah, I think they're a mini boss, so they don't come back. But yeah, this was definitely a fun time going around stealing weapons, just kind of toying with people. Because like they lose tracking after a while too. So if you're really getting chased down and you're like, I don't like this, you can just like run 10 steps and they all forget you're there.
Yeah,
very
run to the corner.
Yeah, but it's a good time. It's a good time. Definitely get to practice your counter strikes and stuff too.
Apparently, being frozen in time doesn't really do wonders for attention span.
No, not at all.
There he is. There. Huh? What was I doing? Oh, I'll just start walking in circles again.
Did you see something? No.
They turn into Skyrim enemies. Who's there? Oh, it's just the wind.
I'm free to move, but I'm still having the visions. Okay.
That's why they're also like hurting each other when they're trying to hit you.
Yeah,
they do that.
Like a whole room of enemies just came out of like a centuries long coma, and the first thing that happens is we just destroy them all. We're just gonna put you out of your misery at this point. You guys got left behind. I'm sorry.
They like immediately go back to work. Like, oh yeah, just gonna patrol this room.
Nothing's different, I can tell. Cool. So after we do this, we get our way back out, and the king recommends, now that we have this incredible sword, we should go back to the Forsaken Fortress and, finish the game, apparently. At least that's what it's reading like. It's like, hey, time for that final battle. Let's go.
Yeah. I'm glad. Aren't you glad that I told you where this sword was?
Yeah. For us veterans of the game, that's we know better. So I went ahead and did like a very specific side quest. I went to North Triangle Island because it's pretty close by, remembering that there was a cyclone there. Okay. And decided to use my bow to go ahead and get that song of cyclones.
I also got that song.
Mm-hmm.
You get commended. I mean, basically what happens, quick rundown, you get close enough to the cyclone and suddenly a whirlpool shows up around it, pulling you in towards the cyclone, much like a big octo in this game. Oh. And so you're on a timer, but instead of shooting eyes, you are looking for the dude in the cyclone. He's like Cyclos himself shows up. It basically denounces your hubris for even thinking that you could be this close to him, I guess.
He's having a great time.
Yeah, but he's causing a ruckus. He's partying up there in the cyclone. So you chastise him like, Zephos told us to do.
Chastise.
With 3 arrows, and then he comes down like, oh man, you got a wicked arm and a good eye. Like, most people can't even see me up there. I'm like, you're not invisible. Like,
pretty
big target. When he comes down to us, like, he's massive and he shrinks down to our size to talk to us.
I had 10 arrows, and if you go from the Tower of the Gods straight to the Forbidden Fortress or Forsaken Fortress, he will you'll just run into him. He's directly on the way. I feel like it was intentional, but I had 10 arrows. I was like, I'll give this a shot, but I usually wait until I have 50 arrows so I can just unload because it's kind of a pain.
Yeah.
But I got him in like 8 and was stunned. I was like, fine, he's gonna throw me somewhere. I'll just sail a little bit longer, but I'll give it a shot.
There's instead of like bullet drop, there's like wind shift. Like when you shoot up at him, you kind of have to aim to the left a little bit, and your arrow will curve right into him. And for some reason, I just have that on like muscle memory at this point. Like every time I see Cyclos, I'm like, I know where to aim at this guy, and I don't know why. It's just like a core memory.
I'll have to keep that in mind in 5 years when I play this again.
Right. Yeah, I guess it's just it's like super impractical information to have on hand, but
I probably got him in somewhere around 8 arrows too.
Maybe I was just traumatized by the failure at some point of like not getting him in time and just getting dropped off randomly in the ocean. Where like now my brain has categorized that as like survival info. Like, hey, when you need this, we got it. Don't worry. Next time,
back into the left.
Aim to the left. Yeah. So that's a thing. I got that.
Now we can teleport.
Yeah, now we can teleport. And there's one island specifically that you can only really interact with via teleporting.
Oh, we can't do anything there yet.
You can't, but I want to talk about it because I tried.
Same.
Get a really cool obscure message if you do. Basically, you drop in and you get addressed by someone who identifies themselves as the Queen of Fairies, says they've been waiting our arrival, but it's not actually time for us to meet yet. She said, I know you're trying to protect an individual who's very dear to you, but there's actually another individual that you need to protect as well. When you have met them, come back and see me. So not only is this character like, apparently like prophetic, like they just know what our journey is going to look like for some reason, but they're like, hey, you don't get to sequence break. All things in their due time. Like there's just like a destiny driven conversation that we have here, and it is more foreshadowing kind of built into this. I thought it was very interesting how that one was handled, because that's not something you see a lot in Zelda games. Like they're usually so tightly controlled that you don't even have opportunity for those kinds of conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like one of those moments where it was like, hey, we really didn't have a way to keep you from just flying in here. So we're just going to tell you, like, not now in the most magical way we can.
We're going to use the anime trope of the 1,000-year-old baby to let you know that it's not now time. Oh yeah, 1,000-year-old baby. This is like the progenitor of Malo.
Oh no. I don't know that I love any of that. What you just said.
No one should.
Okay. So yeah, outside of Fairy Island, I didn't do too much. I think I might have like stopped at a mini game or two, but really I was like, yeah, let's do this Forsaken Fortress. So we gotta find our own way in.
Right before I did Forsaken Fortress, I went and got the Time of Passing, which I hadn't got yet. But aside from that,
the Song of Passing,
yeah.
That's funny because as I was rolling up to the Forsaken Fortress, it was about to be daytime, and this instance happens at night, and so as I was getting closer, all of a sudden the moon came crashing down. No, not like that,
right?
And daytime erupted, and I'm like, man, I'm getting really like that was weird. And I'm getting really close to the Forsaken Fortress, and it is broad daylight. And then after like 5 or 10 more seconds, the sun crashed.
Yeah.
But not before the searchlights came out during broad daylight. And then the sun crashed and nighttime happened. And I was just like, someone's playing the Song of Passing. I don't know what happened. And apparently it was Mayo getting it. Or Cam getting it. I don't remember who it was. It was Cam.
No, I never actually played it, though.
Okay.
Gotcha. It is hilarious because you do like if you were to warp to Windfall and then head towards the Forsaken Fortress, in this world, you know, it's kind of like ours. Everything sets in the west. So you're looking right where the sun sets. So the obvious transition to night is just made more clear by the fact that you see the sun like whip down to the horizon. Like, hey, this is a nighttime scene. Like, we're just gonna go ahead and fix that real quick. So yeah, it's very silly that they, you know, there was no accounting for that necessarily. But
yeah, I mean, and it was night. Like I was, you know, like a minute away, or less than a minute away. It was still nighttime. It could have just been like
just stayed nighttime. Like,
yeah,
lock it in.
Look and see if night. If night, keep night.
Suddenly you just see the moon go backwards and like go back to the zenith or something. Like, all right.
Actually,
slightly less jarring.
Yeah. So this time approaching, we don't have to catapult ourselves into the fortress. We can actually fight the cannons on the outside and bust down the door. I don't even think you have to clear the cannons.
No, you don't have to clear the cannons.
You could just shoot the door down if you want. And get inside, and you can shoot down some cannons inside too, but it's not really going to help you because once you go in a door and come back out, they all respawn. So,
oh really?
Yeah. So it's okay for like your first entry, like when because there's like a little mini boss fight here that you gotta do, but after that, it doesn't really help much longer because I tried to do that and it didn't do anything for me.
I chastised Carl because he was like, well, Ganon clearly knows we're here with that kind of entrance. It was like, yeah, you didn't have a barrel to throw me in.
Yeah, it's like he's probably already been made aware. I'm like, we just got in here, Coral.
Yeah,
like, come on.
And I was like, well, you've got a cannon on your back, so why don't you try and like offer support somehow while I'm up there? Thanks, buddy.
I'm gonna leave my bombs with you. You give me cover fire. I'm going in. Just that would be a pretty cool mechanic if we could do it. But I suppose that's what the Tingle Tuner was, right?
I guess so. Yeah, you just hand Coral the Tingle Tuner. I don't know what to do with this. I'm bad with computers.
Is this got the internet on it? No. All right. Anyway, so we get in here and we're immediately. I mean, you can see there's some new differences, some new what do we call it? Some renovations that have taken place. Some new spike barriers that have been put up. And as we try to go anywhere or do anything in this fortress, we are met with one of the coolest welcoming parties, but also mini boss. So if this is a temple, it's like room 1 mini boss. And this is Phantom Ganon.
Woo!
Phantom Ganon's got a mean chin in this game. Also,
I mean, so does Ganon.
Yeah, that's true. And loves to play Dead Man's Volley.
Doesn't he always?
That's what we get to do. He does. Phantom Ganon specifically always loves Dead Man's Volley.
He's always showing up and being like, anyone for tennis?
Yeah.
I'm convinced that Phantom Ganon is just Johnny Bravo in disguise.
This one especially, good lord.
And I'm pretty. Oh,
do the monkey with me.
Do the monkey with me.
Oh gosh. So we play tennis with him until he gets knocked down. You can beat him up then. And then after each time of doing that cycle, he'll do like a instant transmission to behind you to try to take a swing at you. And if you're quick about it, you can kind of hit him back and he'll get stunned again and you can beat him up some more before your next round of tennis.
Oh.
So does this mean that Link is confirmed faster than light?
Perhaps. I don't know. I don't know if I had to dodge his attack and then hit him back or if I just
preemptively struck.
Instinctively did a spin or something. Yeah, like
he's faster than Blink.
Okay.
He's faster than a blink. You know, the character couldn't blink fast enough.
Oh, okay. Confirmed.
So this very imposing Phantom Ganon, if you're good at tennis, is a pretty simple fight and actually kind of fun. I enjoyed it. It's pretty good intro to the character because, spoiler, we're probably gonna see him again. We don't actually destroy him. He just kind of runs off, poofs away, that kind of thing. But we also don't get any statement from Ganondorf about banishing him to the gap between dimensions or anything.
Yeah.
So he's still, as far as we know, he's an active part. He's still able to return.
The music's really good here, especially during the tennis part. The music sting will change, and then there's different music stings for if you fail to beat him in tennis or if you knock him down.
Oh, nice. And when we do clear him, right, we're gifted with a wonderful new weapon, which is very Forsaken Fortress themed in a way that I appreciate. And it is the Skull Hammer. This thing for a long time was probably my favorite weapon in any Zelda game. I wanted, I went to a Comic-Con and I tried to get a commission of like Link just hitting a home run with a mini blend. But the person I talked to about it did not know what I was talking about, and me trying to describe that was very awkward, and I gave up. But
what is it about mini blends being so terrifying and but no one remembering what they are?
Yeah, they're a menace, and this is like, if you get the timing down, it is so satisfying to hit a mini blend with the side swing of the hammer. Because they fly out to the walls of the fortress and poof into smoke against the walls, and it's like, yeah, that's a satisfying crunch. Like, it's just it's so good. Yeah. I mean, you can flatten them with the regular hit, but it's just not the same.
Mm-hmm. I imagine a couple bokoblins in there going, hey guys, why did we spend all this time renovating the place to stop him from being able to go where he wants, and then give him a hammer that lets him go anywhere that he wants here?
Right. Did you hide the hammer? Yeah, I put it in an invisible chest right in the middle of the fortress. Okay. And how do we get it back if we ever need to find it again? Well, as long as Phantom Ganon doesn't get defeated, it'll stay hidden.
He didn't bring a sword last time, so I think we'll be fine.
Right. Good point. What's he gonna fight back with?
So we'll just leave a hammer there.
We'll just leave a hammer right out in the open.
Yeah.
This is Forsaken Fortress 2.0. This time we have weapons, but we still have to kind of clear the spotlights. So it's a whole thing. Yeah,
the mini blends show up immediately, like you were saying, and it's just like, yep, I'm so glad you're here. You're not awful to deal with. I love them and I hate them. They terrify me, and they're a bunch of fun to deal with. But when you step into a room, or I fell off of something because I tried to parry someone and knew immediately that it was a bad call to hit that flashing A button, but I fell off. And was just 8 mini blends on me all at once. And they just, this is 2.0. We have a sword, but they have mini blends.
Yeah. Yeah. And the entire time you're going through here, they're just a constant menace. They have those bunk bed rooms with the ladders or whatever. And get stuck in the second decision of do I try to outclimb them, or do I try to clear some space first? Because they will just walk up the wall with you and poke at you while you're trying to climb.
There is no clearing space.
It's, every once in a while you find one glitching out on a corner somewhere because their wall tracking is kind of silly when it comes to edges and corners. Sometimes you'll just see them kind of rotating in circles and stuff, which is kind of funny, but yeah, they're brutal.
Later when I was sidling, one of them tried to glitch its way up a wall, and I was just like, don't you dare. Not this. I didn't push the block down.
Right.
Yep. One of them tried to do that to me too.
I made it all the way. I think I cleared a few of the spotlights, and I did not realize the whole cannon mechanic was going to be a problem. So I made it all the way up to where you have to sidle across a gap. And I got shot down by the cannon. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I need to take care of that specific spotlight. But it's like the one that is the most complicated to get to. So I ran around, did all that, came back up, fought through the mid-blins to get back to the sidle spot again. And as I was sidling, I just kept hearing that. I was like, I don't know where he is, but he's not close enough to get me. I'm just gonna keep going and hope he doesn't show up. And he didn't, but I had the warning signs the entire time I was going across the gap of like, hey, are you sure about this? I'm like, I have no choice. I'm pushing forward.
This is the decision we must make.
Oh, yeah, they're a wonderful element in the game.
I was heavily active on the Nintendo.com forums, the brief time that they ran their own forums. But they had different, user icons profile icons you could use. And when Wind Waker came out, they added a bunch of Wind Waker characters to it, but there was no mini Blinn on there. And I was like, "What? Come on! Like these are clearly the most terrifying bad guys of this game. Like we're gonna run into some baddies later that no, they do not hold a candle to mini Blinns." And everyone was just like, "What do you mean? What are mini Blinns?" I was like, "Come on! The game just came out."
Yeah. And I think part of the problem is that the game doesn't actually give you the names of most anything. You have to do like the figurine thing or look it up to know that they were called mini Blinns.
I'm not taking a picture.
Yeah.
Those things.
You stop and get your camera out for the little dudes who never spawn in front of you and never spawn far away from you.
Absolutely not.
Goodness. And so we make our way through this mob of minis until we get to that same door that we made it to before, and we get to go rescue Errol. But Link doesn't actually have a good rescue plan for Errol. He's just like, as long as I can get to the room, perhaps I can just open the door.
He didn't get a chance to use the bombs.
No, he didn't. Yeah, we didn't get that far into our problem-solving process before
Redacted
shows up to tell, or I mean, oops. We didn't get that far along in our problem-solving process before Tetra shows up to basically tell us that we're an idiot. And then, her crew comes along. She tells us that, like, did you even realize we had to like draw that big bird away? It was going to come swoop you up again. And so she brings in the muscle. They get the door open. They get all the pointy-eared children out of the cage,
and the seagulls.
Just
like 6 dirty birds hanging out with these children.
Yeah. And so even though we get she lets us know, hey, normally we would charge you some money for this, but we're going to give you a freebie. We'll go ahead and get Errol out of here for you.
Yeah.
And then they're like, but they tell Errol, hey, your big brother's still got some business to deal with. He's a big boy now. He's got to go do big boy stuff. But you're coming with us.
7.
We're gonna get out of here.
You're 7. You wouldn't understand what us 10-year-olds are doing.
Right.
We're 6th graders. You're a 3rd grader.
Yeah, exactly.
So the pirates leave the bird to us. So we're there waiting because we're pretty sure the bird's going to come swooping in. But not only does that happen, but also water starts coming up from underneath. So they have some kind of water pump that floods this whole tower in case they need it. I don't know if that's just a standard security procedure or what.
This is
Don't forget about the door magically shutting and then the lock magically falling and then locking itself in place behind you.
Who are these pirates? They have a hermetically sealed fortress tower.
Well, their prison is in the flood room.
Right.
Like, they were executing people for sure with this method. Like, this is horrible.
I don't know what other conclusions we're supposed to draw.
Oh gosh.
Death by flooded.
You only
power.
need like 10 feet.
Right.
You don't have
Like
to flood the whole thing.
They probably threatened him
like,
with it first, right?
like
Like,
4
they can only
stories
breathe
tall.
through the bars, and then they flooded a little more. Now you can't breathe. And then they, empty it back out and say, "Are you ready to talk?" And then they do that a few times until it's like, all right, just fill it. let them go. They're not talking.
No, we need the whole thing.
Yeah, it's the implications. It's horrible. But anyway, we use this opportunity to do a good old fashioned parkour run around the Rosie is what I was gonna say. I don't know why. Run around the ring while the Helmarock King is pecking away at us and destroying our staircase.
And his friends.
Yeah, and his
This
friends.
reminded me of like a pre-version of the fight with Demise and Groose, and how you kind of like run up the platform and then like he comes on and like you have to hit him.
With a little minecart thing.
It's a little different, but it just reminded me of.
Yeah, it is a similar setup with the whole like spiral channel and everything. But yeah, this is just a big platforming challenge, but it's not that dire. Like if you fall, you can swim back to the staircase and keep going.
You like swing and use your grappling hook.
Wherever the place is destroyed, there's always a convenient place to use your grappling hook to swing across the gaps. So it's not the worst, but yeah, we get to the top of this. The floor seals underneath us as we get out. Well, actually, sorry. The Helmarock King tries to keep us from getting out. But we can smack him with a hammer. And once we do that, we can get out.
Well, he falls into the water and we're like, aha, we took care of the bird as the door closes, but then bird is not to be outdone, flies through at the last second.
And all of the bokoblins that were there along the way are for sure just drowned underneath the platform. So
I hid in a pot for you, Ganondorf.
whole thing, so loyal, so dead.
Many bokoblins lost their lives that day.
Many a mini-blin, many a bokoblin, many a moblin, in fact. And so we are in this boss fight against the Helmarock King.
Woo!
Cool fight. I remember it being a lot harder. I seem to remember some kind of wind attack where he would like flap his wings at you and shoot breezes, and then I remember him like skating it like through the battlefield too. He didn't do any of that this time in my playthrough, and I don't know what I did different, like if that was my fault or if that was just the game RNG type stuff.
Yeah, you just got good RNG. This is I don't know if this fight is hard more than it's just kind of time consuming because you're waiting like you're kind of at the whim of the bird.
Yeah,
it can land, it can do a pass.
It landed every time. Like it never tried to swoop through. It never tried to do the wind. It just kept like it would even fly away and then fly back and land. And I was like, I'm pretty sure you used to be a lot harder, my guy. Like
no, speedrunners are just jealous of what happened to you.
Yeah. That's
true.
It was good RNG because it made the fight silly. It was trivial. I was like, that was kind of not what I remembered, but okay.
I got bad RNG comparatively. He did like the swoop attack 4 times in a row. And at one point he did the wing burst gust trying to blow me to the outside of the ring 4 times in a row. And I'm just like, guy, can I please hit your face?
Yeah,
didn't do too much to me. It was pretty even. I got a couple of gusts. I got a couple of passes, but it was pretty whatever. It's another one of those bad guys where they, give them a mask. When you get a hammer, the boss usually has a mask on or something.
Yeah.
I feel like my experience was sort of similar to yours. I feel like as a child, this was a lot harder than it was. It was not too terrible for me. I feel like I had quite an easy run. I just remember, like, for some reason when I was a kid, I remember, like, there being more attacks that he did, like, before you were able to hit him, which wasn't the case.
Okay. So we had similar experiences then, yeah.
Like I'm misremembering a lot of like what this fight was.
Is
in my
a
head.
big bird. I mean, once you get
Mhm.
his mask off, he looks so much sillier. He's like a pigeon with like a rooster crest. Like he just looks
Not
so
really
silly.
cool. He's like straight out of a Don. Like what's that Don Bluth movie? Rockadoodle.
Yeah. That.
It's-
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
That's what I always see.
They've taken only the hardest, most rock and roll animals into
Mhm.
consideration in this
gosh.
game.
Rockadoodle.
The hardest farm animals, like they got the Dobermans for the Dark
Yeah.
Nuts,
Yeah.
the Metal Rooster for Helm Rock.
You shine, you better shine. right. That's the whole.
Yeah. No.
That's a childhood
That is
memory
not
for
an.
sure.
Yeah, that's not an endorsement to go watch Rockadoodle by any means, but yeah, just saying.
Yeah, I imagine that one aged like milk.
Don Bluth movies aren't as good as people seem to remember them being.
Oh gosh. All right. So when we defeat the Helmrock King, he spasms, tries to fly up into the air. All the spotlights shine on him for some reason, and he poofs out into smoke. Because he was such an easy fight, I kind of felt bad about defeating him. I was like, wow, this guy was kind of pathetic. I'm sorry.
He messed up our life.
Yeah. I mean, he was trying
Mhm.
to kill us first, to be fair.
Picking on the kids.
Yeah. So he's destroyed, and our path is officially opened up to go deal with Ganondorf himself.
Yay, end of the game.
Yeah,
End of the game. Final battle. Let's do the thing.
Wow, it's short.
And so we enter. I mean, we go through that super extra door we were talking about that one time. It's got just all the ornaments you could ever want.
Mm-hmm. Took a good look at it this time. It does have the like Sheikah eye on masks on either side of the door. And like these kind of tribal, like Polynesian sort of masks.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like you're sort of like walking into a birthday party in Hawaii.
There's like the happy.
Yeah, that's what it kind of reminds me of.
Oh,
the guy from Crash Bandicoot is like that mask is on the front door.
Boogadaba?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot his actual name.
I can't remember.
I just call him Boogadaba.
Because that's what he says, right?
I remember
That's what I
Uka
hear.
Uka. He's the bad mask.
Yeah, I don't remember the name at all. But yeah, it's that style kind of. When we step inside, it's like a big old room and Ganondorf he's just chilling on the other side of the room. He tells us it's been a while, which implies that this specific Ganondorf has encountered a different Link at some point.
Yeah. All of the adults in this game need therapy. It's been a while, kid. And it's like, I don't know you. Like, stop making my problems your problems, or your problems my problems.
That's not my purse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He commends us for
Bobby would do so well in this game.
Yeah.
But Dad.
Oh no. Here they go. The Bobby impressions. He commends us for our reckless courage, and he asks us, if we noticed that when we pulled the sword, it also, let all the creatures stir. And he explains to us that sword was a key, a wretched little key, keeping a seal on Ganondorf and his magic power.
Thanks, Carl.
Right? It's like, I don't know who told you to pull that thing, but you basically made your own job a lot harder. Now
I can hide tiny swords in my hand.
So reasonable Link decides, well, if that's the case, then I should probably strike you down right here, right now.
Mm-hmm.
And does a big old yelling charge at Ganondorf. Because, closing your eyes and shouting and running has always been a good attack maneuver. So Ganondorf basically just like smacks us to the side and then says, you can't defeat me with a blade that does not sparkle with the power to repel evil.
He has the gall to question our devotion to Sparkle Motion. and I'm not having it.
Yeah,
he's one of the few villains that just straight up knows he's evil too. Most villains justify what they do in their own head. Ganondorf, he knows. He's like, oh, I'm so evil. I can't wait to just drench this world in darkness. Let me tell you, boys.
Look at my big chin.
My tiny sword and big chin.
He's like, that is the sword of evil's bane, which is why I know you think it'll beat me. And maybe one day it could, but not right now, because it's not sparkling with the power to repel evil, aka me.
Look, it was doing a whole lot better at its previous job of keeping my power contained. Now it's just out here. We're good.
Yeah. And so he tells us to go back and tell the people who made the blade that that's happened, but then it looks like he's about to try to kill us instead. So I don't know why he told us to do that.
Because he killed the people that made the blade.
He's about to send you to meet him.
Not go back, go to them.
Yeah.
All right. Because I'm pretty sure he said go back, but I mean, hey, if that's not what he meant, I get it.
He's a bad guy. He's evil.
He's evil. He was lying. Anyway, before he can do that, Tetra shows up, just kind of sneaks in through the window. Has a funny little moment here. She gets one good kick in, and then straight up, is trying to tell us to get up, to get out, and she gets just chokeholded by the big man.
Yeah. Adults really like being mean to 10-year-olds in this game. I'm just gonna pick this kid up by the throat.
I've always pictured Tetra as a little bit older than Link, but I don't know if that's actually accurate at all. But just my thing.
He's more mature than Link.
But then we get another piece of foreshadowing, because as Ganon is holding her up, calling her annoying and whatever, his Triforce starts to resonate with Tetra's necklace, and he straight up calls her Princess Zelda. He's like, "Oh, I finally found you
after all this time."
Yeah,
it's like, how long have you been looking for this 10-year-old?
Right? No, it's he's been looking for at least a week, maybe.
Yeah.
As far as we know.
At long last, I have found you, Princess Zelda. Bro, it's been a week. Relax.
Dude,
you've been awake for a week.
He hasn't slept that whole week.
This is the fourth girl you've grabbed. Come on.
Right. You had a giant bird out there picking them up for you, and this is only your fourth one. So, I mean, and she came to you, oddly enough.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I mean, Zelda looks, Tetra, who's been called Zelda, looks rightfully confused when suddenly the Rito swoop in and snatch us both out of the room. Us off the ground, Tetra out of his grasp.
And she saw our sword earlier, or at least the hilt.
Oh yeah. I forgot to mention that part.
She's like, no,
can't be. Right. Yeah, as we were in the room opening the Errol out of the cage, she saw the hilt. She's like, that sword, could it possibly be? And then she's like, let's not talk about that right now.
Which does look a little different, but she does have that sword on a poster in her room, I think.
Oh yeah, she has the illustration of it, so she definitely would have a visual reference.
Plus, we know her mom was into triangle stuff, so
that's one way to put it. Yeah,
I mean, yeah, she may have heard stories about it. For me though, the 3D model of the sword was wigging out on my back and was shaking. So during the cutscene, it just looked like she was why is that sword moving? She's just
what's going on with him?
Yeah. What's wrong with your sword?
Does he have a living sword?
Kind of. Yeah. I mean, we got a 5 foe, whatever her name is in there.
Thank goodness we don't, though.
All right. Okay,
And then
so
after the Rito capture or grab us,
Yeah.
I guess they kind of like they reverse capture us, the
they
good kind of
recapture
capture.
us. Yeah, it's a good capture.
Then
The Fulton thing.
Ganondorf's like the big bad guy who you need the sword that repels evil, and Valoo just kind of comes down, just like I'm just gonna flamethrower you. Actually,
Yeah, it's
Yeah, he burns that entire chamber
it's
Yeah.
pretty
up
great.
in like 5 seconds.
Because the Forsaken Fortress, like the hull of the ship there is actually just straight up a ship
Mhm.
that's been perched on this big tree-looking structure. And he just
It's
torches
just-
the whole thing.
It's like this is the worst dad in the neighborhood, just like burning the treehouse down. This is done. We're done with this.
And one thing that's kind of specifically cool about this scene is that it's actually Prince Kamali, along with Quill the Postman, who swoop in and grab you. So Kamali got his wings, and he also looks like 5 years older than we saw him last.
Mm-hmm.
So he's moving up in the Rito world. He's like an actual prince now. So good for him. He got his courage.
I like the Valoo was like, no, I'm gonna get up for this.
Right? Like I sit on my rock all the time, but these wings, they're gonna
walk.
carry this one.
I'm gonna walk over there, take care of this.
But speaking of Valoo, they all take us back to the Tower of the Gods, the Rito and Valoo. And Valoo just straight up perches on the ring that like is at the bottom of the tower.
Yeah.
And so Komali and Quill are like, hey, Tetra's just unconscious, don't worry. Errol's safe with the pirates, don't worry about her. And then the king kind of shouts up his gratitude to Valoo. And hey, New Game Plus, I can tell you what this conversation is.
Hey.
Ooh.
So Valoo says, still, it is too soon to relax. Ganon cannot be destroyed by such simple means as wrath and fire. 2 notes. 1, that's like one of the hardest things said in any Zelda game ever.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And 2, Valoo, who up until this point has only said, oh, hero, thank you. Oh, hero, use the power of the wind. Like, this is one of the most sophisticated sentences. Like, I didn't expect him to speak like this because he's just having an actual conversation now. Whereas before the implication was just this dude just kind of shouts praises in like very simple sentences.
My butt.
So, so the king's like, I understand, but he's like, but I figured our first priority should be to separate these two from Ganon's grasp. And then Valoo says, I understand and I agree. We are counting on you to take care of it. And he basically flies away. So he's like, yeah, like, you know what? You're right. Get him away from Ganon, and then we'll figure out how to defeat Ganon after that. So he leaves it to us, and they fly away.
What is it with Valoo getting like gravitational like momentum? Like he always flies around something before he takes off. Is it like an OCD thing? Is he trying to get like
big guy
speed?
Yeah, he's using centripetal force to get the lift. I don't. When your wings are that small, man, you gotta improvise.
Yeah. How else are you gonna gain speed? Right.
So Tetra wakes up underwater in front of a submerged Hyrule Castle because we took her underwater before she woke up. And the king calls to us from the stone, even though we're on the boat.
Someone calls to us.
Yeah, so it's the same. It's the king voice. It goes hey and everything.
Yeah,
but we're on the boat, so it's very confusing. But Tetra's like, "Hey, where are we? What is this? Like, what happened to everything? Like, you're okay.
How'd you
that's
get this
great."
number?
And then suddenly the king of Red Lions calls us, I guess. And she's like, "Yeah, how did you get this? Like, only me and Link talk on this thing."
So we haven't filled her in that that's not the case, but yeah.
Right. So she's feeling a little offended, but then, the voice is like, you got to come down to where you found the sword. I need to speak with you here. And so Tetra's all about it. She's like, you heard the voice. You're supposed to show me where to go. And so now we get to have a little Tetra follower.
Look,
date
my
in the
stone
castle.
might be bugged. You got to come down here.
Right. So we
Somebody
leave.
tapped my stone.
Look, I've got recordings on this. I've got a recording system set up on this stone.
Yeah, I took Tetra on a little tour of the castle. I showed her the portrait of the king and the portrait of the royal family. She didn't seem
That's
to
cool.
care much about any of that. We took a selfie in front of the Hero of Time statue.
That's
She
good.
was so confused about everything. I was like, well, yeah, we're really supposed to just go to the basement, so that's what we did. I just figured, straight to the basement might be a little quick. I'm like, hey, just trust me. We're gonna go into the depths of the dungeons real quick.
Look, this is the last time your character is going to be able to do anything cool. So why don't we just hang out for a little while longer?
Yeah. And so we go down there, and there is, in fact, a kingly looking dude standing by the sword pedestal. And Tetra just immediately starts questioning about the stone. She's like, how'd you use the stone? Like, that's all she cares about is like, how are you getting into my system here? Like, that don't belong to you. And so the king turns around and is like, that stone is an enhanced gossip stone. An enhanced version of the gossip stones of like the ancient Hyrule Kingdom. By the way, that's where we are. The one from the legends where the power of the gods lies hidden. That's this kingdom. You're in Hyrule. Welcome. As if we didn't already parse that. And then he introduces himself as King Daphne Snow Hansen Hyrule.
Mm-hmm.
Which is pretty great.
I
Say it 5 times
wrote that out
fast.
in my diary.
That was the other diary entry.
Yeah, his name, the King of Hyrule's name, I was like, oh, he has a name.
I mean, it's not just coral.
Or he's not
It's
just
gonna be
like
coral dust, though.
the guy that Ganondorf bends a knee to, and you don't see,
Right.
in Ocarina or something like that. He's here. Because we just never had seen a king of Hyrule before. It was always just, there's a princess.
Yeah.
Fair point.
And so, along with this explanation of the Gossip Stone, this king gives us another detail about what happened to Hyrule. So basically, because because of the whole hero leaving situation, he's like, my power alone wasn't enough to stop Ganon. So I don't know what he tried to determine that. I'm imagining some kind of fight between them, but he's
Just,
like, yeah, my
yelled
power
at him.
wasn't. He's like, I tried to use my kingly authority, and he just wasn't about that.
He like walks out on the balcony, looks again, and goes, "Well, I tried."
No, he like put together, a volunteer army. It was just mostly farmers. Didn't really do anything.
And so the people, we all prayed to the gods, and so the gods made this really cool decision to seal Ganon and to seal this world with him by use of a massive downpour. So the gods chose those who would build a new country and relegated them to the mountaintops. And those are your ancestors. So congrats on your new home.
Okay, but there's 12 people in my hometown. Did this happen last week?
Yeah.
There's not a lot of room in that hometown.
Yeah. The other bit that goes along with this is that the power of the gods in the legend specifically refers to the Triforce of Wisdom, which is something that Tetra has a piece of around her neck. And so Daphnis offers the missing piece. The necklace is made whole into the Triforce of Wisdom, and Tetra gets a Victorian makeover, or I suppose maybe a medieval makeover. This is like,
this is Pygmalion. This is My Fair Lady. Like, she walks down the staircase and goes, "How do you do?"
yeah. I know this has gotten a lot of flack because Zelda no longer, or Tetra, who is now being revealed, this is the scene, so we can say this, is now being revealed as the Princess Zelda of this age. She grew up her whole life being called Tetra. I don't know why we would just accept that she has a different name now. Like, because the king told her it's not that. I'm like, hey, my mom named me Tetra. Like, let's not.
She got a makeover though.
She got the makeover.
The makeover, new skin color, the works.
That's the thing. I think it's just makeup. And the reason I think that is because that's part of the outfit. Like
there's the colonial tradition of
whitening.
So
I mentioned the Victorian and medieval. Both of those times were kind of marked. I mean, that's just kind of across history. But if you have a tan, it implies that you work outside as a laborer. So people of high class or royalty would do things to make themselves look more pale, such as covering up a tan with like makeup or powder or whatever. And so I believe this is what has happened to our friend Tetra by the magical powers of historical accuracy. Even if it's kind of offensive now, she's been made to be. I mean, there's a pale princess.
There's even like a culture of doing that in Asia of lightening your skin with makeup and things like that because it's seen as better. Hooray!
It's like you don't have to work outside. Look at how high up you are on the social rankings.
If my skin is pale, that means I can look down on everyone that's not. My pride and ego. Let me stroke them more.
It's kind of like
fitting that you have a British accent because they're the ones that mostly taught them. Had a ranking when they went over there and colonized it.
That's it's kind of the same thinking behind like fake long fingernails.
Okay.
Like it implies you don't have a laborious job where you would do anything that would break those nails. So
it also implies you can't get your credit card back out of your ATM, so you have to go ask somebody to do it for you
because the nails are in the way.
I often ask them, I'm like, how do you even I don't know if it's appropriate on the pocket, but like,
well, yeah, let's not be offensive, but.
There's things I question. There's things I question of how you do them when your nails are so long. It's like you can't.
I don't want to think too much about what you just said. There are a lot of things I can imagine are harder when you have long nails, but that's part of the thing. It
makes it weird when your partner tries to pop the zits on your face and their nails are really long.
Yeah, it's all good. I don't want to be offensive, but I just want to be honest. That is what that's about.
I thought someone was going to bring up like Asian foot binding instead of the nail thing.
The nail thing hits a lot closer to home because like you might have actually met somebody who has big old nails and they love them and that's their style and that's what they want to do. And I'm not trying to knock that, but I'm pretty sure the original thought is like, if you have those nails, it basically implies like you're not doing a kind of job that would would be difficult to do with those nails.
Your nails aren't getting chipped on a regular basis.
Yeah,
it implies you want to type on a keyboard at 3 letters a minute.
You mean poke at a keyboard?
I've watched it. It's
a thing. All right. So anyway, that's going to be a fun section to edit later. So the king has this really fancy statement that I thought was really questionable. But basically because Tetra is in fact a Zelda, she too must abide by the laws of the past, is what he says. Which I'm like, cool guy. Cool way to frame this whole situation.
Take away the most capable person we have.
Yeah. So he explains to us if Ganon gets a hold of Zelda, he will succeed in making Hyrule a land of despair. Essentially, it's making it sound like if he gets the Triforce of Wisdom, which he'll stop at nothing to do at this point, And, we don't know how to use it in a way to repel him currently. So we're just going to hide it instead. But if he succeeds at getting Zelda, he'll succeed in making the world this horrible place. So Zelda is going to stay down here. Meanwhile, we have to go restore the sword because Ganon doesn't care about us. As far as he knows, we don't have a Triforce and we never will.
Right.
So we're just some kid who has a sword that ain't going to work. But he does also tell us if the sword lost its power, that means something has happened to the sages. And this is kind of like on our way out. Because we do end up just leaving Zelda here. On our way out, she's very apologetic. Tetra/Zelda tells us that everything that's happened with Errol and all that, it's all my fault. Now that she knows she's Zelda, she's like, oh, I am the problem. Which is not really true. Right.
No.
Like she's not, but she's doing that thing that Zeldas always do, and that's taking the responsibility for everything, even if it's not actually their fault.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a noble idea, but at the same time, I'm like, you need to just chill. It's not all about you all the time. But yeah,
Breath of the Wild Zelda would beg to differ.
It reminds me of that trope that's in a lot of stories where bad guy gives good guy ultimatum that he loses no matter what, and then good guy feels really bad about what happens after it. I'm like somebody put you in a lose-lose situation. How are you blaming yourself? It doesn't make sense to me.
It's like you let them die.
The guy that
you killed them. What do you mean?
No, you're the one that told me I had to do it. You pointed something at me that I don't know. It's how can you blame yourself for that? Obviously, the guy that put you in that situation is to blame. Nothing else makes any logical sense.
Yeah, the Ghost King boat who didn't realize the sword was trapping all of the bad guy's power down there. I'm going to go ahead and start blaming him.
I mean,
blame the boat.
He definitely has gaps in his knowledge that are proving to be very detrimental to our mission.
It seems like he's emotionally involved in this, and that's a conflict of interest.
Yeah, here's what I'm gonna say. Because we get out of this whole situation, and he starts dropping some more lore on us. And one of the things is, if the sword lost its power, something has happened to the sages that were praying in the temples to keep it going. So he knows about this whole other system, right? There are sages somewhere. They're supposed to be praying for this sword to keep it charged up. But clearly that's not happening because the sword's not powerful enough. So I don't know if he knew that it was supposed to be sparkling and just said, it's probably fine.
Probably.
Give it a shot.
Knowing Coral.
What's the worst that could happen?
But here's where I'm gonna kind of drag this guy a little bit, because he basically said, hey, we don't know how Ganon came back. Something must be wrong with the seal, but didn't say hey, maybe something's wrong with the sages that are powering up the key to the seal. He just went ahead and said, well, we're just going to have to kill Ganon. So let's go ahead and...
Are they sealing him, or is the sword the seal?
Well, the sword
they're just sharpening it.
But it's supposed to be sparkling with power.
Yeah.
So my take is that this seal, something happened to the sages, but I think that might have even happened a long time ago.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that weaken the key and therefore weaken the seal, and that's why Ganon was able to come back?
Yeah.
Maybe we could have solved this problem without even going to the fortress if we had just upped that seal. I don't know. It feels to me like it's oversight, some serious oversight.
Yeah, because we eventually see where he's been, how he got out, or where he got out. And
right.
But I don't think they've told us about that yet.
If I had set up an elaborate system of, hey, we have this powered up sword and we need these sages to be praying apparently just eternally for this doll to be working. And suddenly the seal's going faulty. I don't know that I would be like, well, we got to find the hero that went missing a long, long time ago. I would probably check on my system. You know what I mean? Like, I would inspect the temples and be like, hey, are the sages still here? Or right.
Couldn't like give them all one of those gossip stones?
Yeah. How many phones do you have?
Right? Could have given an SOS before something happened, and then we'd know, all right, well, we got to go fix that seal. I don't know. Just it just seems like now we're just putting out fires everywhere we go.
Yeah,
Coral went straight for the problem solver 9000 instead of just getting Flex Seal from the beginning.
He kidnapped a kid before he like went and checked on the religious icons that are praying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have a magical barrier holding back evil? Is it starting to weaken? Oh, don't worry, Flex Seal's here.
So the last piece of lore we get before going on this grand adventure to re-up the sword and check on the sages is that the legend of the hero of time, he kind of asks us if we know it, which of course we've heard it like 3 times now. He mentions that after he was done being the hero, he was called to another adventure where he had to leave the land of Hyrule. And when this happened, he was separated from the elements that made him a hero.
Mm-hmm.
And so he had to leave the Triforce of Courage behind, is what it seems like.
Yeah, so, you can't take that with you. Look, you gotta check that at the door.
So the decision they came to was to break it into 8 pieces and scatter it.
Isn't it also like in his right hand?
No.
I mean,
it didn't come out, and they took it away anyway before. Yeah.
You mean like it was in the Hero of Time's hand? Like, yeah, it was for a time. Like that's
apparently like you could just take it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've done this breaking it up into 8 pieces before. That's what Zelda 1 is, but that was the Triforce of Wisdom.
Right. So it's interesting that was their solution. I'm like, because with the Triforce of Wisdom, they broke it into 2 pieces and they just kind of like had 2-factor authentication with the royal family going on.
Right.
But with the heroes, they're like, hey, we're just going to shatter this thing and hide it everywhere. We don't want anyone knowing how to get this back.
Also, right now is the perfect time to bring the Triforce of Wisdom back together and not keep it separate.
Yeah, like I'm going to reveal this to you by giving this back to you, but we could have, kept it split and hidden.
My boat could have just grabbed the necklace off your neck and swam to the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah. And so we end up on this new adventure where not only are we going to go visit our sage friends, but also we are now looking for the 8 pieces of the Triforce. The pieces of 8, if you will.
The Triumph Forks.
The Triumph Forks. And so next time we'll pick up with one of those missions. I don't know. We still got to figure out how we're going to approach this part of the game. But, all right. Well, this has been our episode of A for No, B for Yes. We appreciate y'all being here and listening. So be sure to tune in next time on A for No, B for Yes.
Bye.
You need underwater bombs for underwater.
Did you get all it?
making me want to eat a pretzel, but I gotta resist.
Resist it.
For the deficit. I need that caloric deficit in my life.
Drink water instead. It works.
I'm drinking coffee. It's decaf. But it's got some what's the cashew milk in it? Cashew milk's got like 25 calories in a cup. So I probably put like a quarter cup in this, so that's like nothing basically. And that makes me feel good because it still adds to the creaminess of the coffee, but it doesn't cost me much.
Like cashews.
Hey.
I like cashews too. I wouldn't say they're underrated because they're actually quite expensive.
Mm.
They're like right there with pistachios for some reason, and
yeah,
you know, maybe it's just the processing and the export fees. I don't know.
Cash. Ews.
You gotta pay for these with credit.
I learned yesterday how cashews, how they grow, and how
It's like a fruit.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing, and how they're like plucked, and apparently they're like toxic. There's like this whole process into making them. And I'm like, who's the first guy who just saw this like fruit that looks like somewhat appetizing, and then this little tiny, like, well, I guess it's not tiny, it's like this giant nut just hanging out of it. Was like, I'm gonna eat that, and then just keeled over.
And then someone else found him and goes, I bet I could make it so that we could eat this safely.
Who knew?
It's like with like miso soup. The paste itself comes from leaving a bunch of fish in seaside caves in specific areas of Japan, so they get a specific mold on them. Like, who? Why? How did you figure this out? Who left fish in here for a while? And someone was just like, well, we could do something with this.
What about that coffee bean that's like the most expensive coffee bean ever that they feed to basically a big cat and then it poops it out and they go, yeah, now it's done. How many other animals did they try that with?
Yeah, it's rough.
How many other... Let's do it with an elephant.
Yeah.
No, it didn't make it taste better. How about a rat? No, that didn't make it. Like, how many animals did they go through before that? This cat's butt does the job. They're so weird.
Everyone tried it.
Nothing is
Drops
as
the
bad as
seed.
surströmming.
As who?
Well,
Surströmming.
Okay.
It's
I
a
trust
Swedish cuisine that is basically just fermented Baltic sea herring.
Yeah.
And it's
in a
like
bag.
anchovies and sardines level of like smell.
Gefilte fish type stuff.
100.
Yeah, I feel like weirdly, like
The
the
super
history
fish.
of human like food preservation has yielded some pretty crazy things that
Yeah.
you just know somebody had to be like, hey, is this still safe to eat? I don't know, but we're stuck on a boat, so if we don't eat that, we're probably just gonna die, so we might as well try it. And then it like turned out to be vinegary and fine rather than like deadly. I don't know. Fermentation's wild.
There's
It is.
Indigenous people along like Canada and Greenland, like way up there, will stuff a seal carcass with stuff, and then like in the like fall, because they know like come dead of winter, they're like, okay, there'll be this thing that we can eat, and it's awful, but we can eat it.
And then speaking of that surströmming thing, do the people that eat that, do they like walk on a beach and smell the dead fish smell? Like, man, I'm hungry. Like, I hate that smell, but like basically it's eating that smell. Even like eating the nori wrap that seaweed is wrapped in. If you just eat nothing but straight nori wrap, it almost tastes like the smell of rotten fish on a beach. But I'm just assuming surströmming is way stronger.
Beachy.
Right?
Fish tastes very oceany too.
I don't mind a light, mild, beachy taste in my food, but
no, I'm into.
Same.
I grew up on the ocean. I'm into like mussels tasting, oceany.
We grew up on Lake Erie, Lake Ontario, We don't.
Yeah.
When we were kids, you didn't eat anything off of Lake Ontario. That just wasn't.
Yeah,
The Lake Erie, you could get some good eats off of, and you'd have to, based on how you prepared it, you'd get different levels of lakiness, but also we're familiar with the smell of freshwater seaweed, like dried out on the beach, and it is kind of nasty.
Yeah.